This is Unknown and Uncloned on the Undetermined Podcast Network.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Unknown and
Uncloned, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network, which you can find at the UD Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you want to follow the podcast itself, we're on Twitter and Instagram at UAU Podcast.
Yeah. I'm your host, Rich. Here with me is my co-host,
Julian Wilson.
And what do we do on this show? We dissect the arts, one pop culture craze at a time. We like to go into the philosophical ideas behind the fads. You know, why are we obsessed with immortality, cats, cooking shows? Let's talk about it. Exactly.
Listen, I know there's a conspiracy behind the chew. No, I'm kidding.
A conspiracy behind the what? The chew?
Yeah, the chew.
Imagine.
Well, I'm not talking about the choo-choo train either.
Wow.
All right, so moving on to today's topic.
Yeah. Today, the title of this episode is Apocalypse When. And that is a reference to the movie Apocalypse Now. And since then, there have been a lot of movies about the end of days, the end of the world, the end of a lot of things.
A lot of shows, too, honestly.
Yeah. Why are we obsessed with this idea of the end, of apocalypse, of living in a time where things have sort of been destroyed and we're just rebuilding?
When it's all remnants of what was.
Exactly. I mean, movies like Independence Day Resurgence, X-Men Apocalypse. It's in the title.
Yeah, and you know what? You know what two words kind of go together, but they have nothing to do with each other? Remnants and reminiscence.
Oh, wow.
It sounds like they're like
It sounds like they're
siblings.
from a similar word. It sounds like they're from a similar root. Yeah.
Yeah.
Word siblings. Hey, bro. But yeah. The fact of the matter is we love these movies, man.
Yeah.
The Day After Tomorrow.
Oh, my goodness.
Exactly.
Even Independence Day.
Yeah. We love seeing these crazy scenarios, all of this destruction, and we love seeing people survive it.
Yes. Yes. Because there wouldn't be any more story if everyone perished. Gotta have that one hero.
You do.
That protagonist.
You do. You know, even Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, you know, even other movies like The Avengers, superheroes coming to save people when literally the end is here.
Yes.
And the end has come in many forms. Natural disasters.
Yes.
Aliens. Monsters. In some cases, technology. Terminator Salvation,
goodness.
for example.
Oh my goodness, yes.
A future where Skynet, those robots.
Oh,
And it's like,
I love the concept though, because well, not in terms of real life here, okay? I'm not talking about real life, guys. I'm talking about the way it's portrayed through media, because it's
yeah, there's so many depictions of the apocalypse. Not just, they actually predate the media. I mean, hey, the Book of Revelation.
yes,
You know,
yes.
prophecies that other cultures, that other civilizations have had. Do you remember 2012, man?
Yeah, the
That's
Mayans.
all I gotta say. There was even a movie called 2012
I
with
haven't
Nicolas
seen
Cage.
that, but it looked
Intense.
crazy.
Yeah.
But then I was also hearing that it wasn't so great. But I'm sure it's good. I'll watch it at some point. But then, yeah, wasn't there a movie called Armageddon 2? I think that's something different.
That probably was.
There was quite a couple, and I think there's just recently been a sequel to Independence Day. Independence Day Resurgence, I think that was the name of it. Yeah. I haven't seen that one yet.
Epic. But one particular movie that I wanted to talk about, that it's definitely in that post-apocalyptic realm.
I Am Legend.
Close.
Oh.
Well, actually, no, not really close. But
You got my hopes up, man.
yeah, this one movie called Turbo Kid.
Yes, Turbo Kid. That's not close at all.
Exactly. And Turbo Kid is about this young man who's living by himself in this post-apocalyptic world, played by Monroe Chambers, awesome actor. He was in Degrassi, but he's in a world where literally the only thing that exists is like his town and a few other factions of people who are trying to survive, and he's just doing what he can, man.
Well, that kind of reminds me of I Am Legend.
Oh yeah, it does. I mean, they're close in concept, but there's a twist in Turbo Kid that I Am Legend definitely doesn't have. Trust me. So now you may be asking yourself, where does the turbo come in? Okay.
Where does the turbo come in?
Now one of the things that make this character interesting is that he's living in this post doomsday world. He's got his cool little shack, his beans and other non-perishable foods like that he's surviving on. But every day he reads this comic, and it's about this superhero who has Turbo in his name. It's either Turbo Warrior or Turbo Man or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. And that gives him a hope. He sees this character fighting against all odds. He kind of sees that in himself. But the twist is he finds I'm not going to spoil how this happens. He finds this suit that belonged to that Turbo character. And he somehow finds this laser gun that attaches to your arm. And what does he do? He's saving lives, man. Mm-hmm. He's fighting the crimes of the people who are taking advantage of those who can't fend for themselves in this post-apocalyptic world. And it's awesome because it's got this 80s retro gaming vibe.
Yes.
With classic music.
Step into the arcade and there he is.
Exactly. It's cool, and I highly recommend you guys watch Turbo Kid. I mean, hey, if my description didn't clinch it for you, it was at Sundance Film Festival, I believe. Mm-hmm. Check it out.
We'll post some links too.
Yeah. It's a more optimistic take on the end of the world.
Yeah, something actually uplifting, using it. Hope is the overhang for that. And we need hope.
Yeah.
Everyone needs hope.
So we've gone through a movie. Well, movies, plural. And, what about music? Of course, there's a lot of music out there with themes about the end and whatnot. But one particular song I wanted to share with you guys is by a band called Ginzu. And this band is an alternative band based in Belgium. And what I like about them is that they delve into the realm of pop, funk, and even psychedelic rock. They like to branch out.
Right.
And Ginzu, for those of you who know your knife brands, Ginzu is actually the name of one famous, I believe it's a Japanese brand of knives.
That's cool.
Yeah. And another awesome thing, their Facebook description, I love it. Ginzu, the more you use it, the sharper it gets. And they're talking about, So they're basically like, yeah.
That's crazy. Yo, partnership right now.
Imagine.
Cross promotion. That is exactly what it is. Cross promotion in the best way possible.
And they're right. They really are sharp. But this particular song is called End of the World. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory, right?
Yeah.
And there's this one lyric that I really like. And it goes like this. When the city'll burn, we'll be dancing in the flames. Then we'll smile till the end of the world. You will see, 'cause we're not afraid of no one when it falls down. But I like how the band mentions this idea of sort of basking in it, just letting things
Yes.
end. We'll be dancing in the flames, then we'll smile. Sort of happy with the destruction.
Yeah.
And there's a couple ways you could interpret that. They could just be being edgy, being cool, like, yo, yeah, you know. But
Well, happy with
yeah,
with the destruction, or just accepting the destruction?
that's the thing. They're accepting it. Maybe they've gotten fed up with how the world is. And in this hypothetical scenario, when the end is here, they're just like, all right, just let it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't honestly. It's probably not, probably not gonna happen in our lifetime. But there's two reactions. One, you panic. Two, you just let it happen. One, you can't stop it anyway.
Yeah.
So panicking would only probably speed up the process for you, because you'd be stressing about the inevitable. But
Yeah, man.
two is just like, you might be able to get one more thing done, or a couple more things, depending on your perception of what is actually happening.
Yeah, maybe it's part of the desire to like want a new beginning, because with every end comes a new beginning.
It's very true.
And I don't mean just like the apocalypse, like the world ending. I mean something like Turbo Kid. Those post-apocalyptic scenarios, I feel like they appeal to an inner desire to make the world anew.
Yes, I agree with that, because it's something is something that decays, especially nature, erosion, all these things can be remade into new soil.
Yeah.
And recycled.
And civilizations, like no more corruption, no more class inequality. Like destruction brings rebirth, I guess.
Yeah, destruction does bring rebirth. This is true.
And we find ourselves wanting that, I feel like. It's just cool.
There's building upon an existing foundation. But there's also destroying a foundation to create either a new perspective or a better one, depending.
I mean, in a post-apocalyptic scenario, I don't know if I could make it, man. I mean, yeah, I cook, but I would have to hunt my food? Nah, man.
Listen, man, I don't have the energy for that. Energy to hunt my food. But also, one thing about life is that it's hard to picture yourself in a situation that you're not in.
Yeah.
If you had no choice.
If I had no choice, I guess I would just be in it,
Yeah. It's hard to figure that.
Another thing I want to mention, which is actually a video game, which you really could make the argument that it is an art form. It is expression. It's interactive expression. If you think about it, a video game. There's this one particular game called I Am Alive.
I have to play that.
I played
it. Is that
it.
good?
I beat it twice. It's great.
Oh my goodness.
And it's about this man who's trying to provide for the friends that he has in this one town that's been ravaged by a horrible, horrible sandstorm. It's it's pretty much a desert.
Okay.
You know? Everybody you encounter either wants to kill you and get your resources.
Oh wow.
Or they're a beggar. And you just have to travel through this wasteland. And it's visually stunning. And it's just, there's this great feeling of satisfaction every time you find, yeah, man, I found a can of beans. I can live for another day. Or whatever it is. Why do I keep mentioning beans as the post-apocalyptic food of choice?
Listen, you know why? Because I feel like that's also something that we've seen.
That's
movies.
why.
Because they always subliminal. Just throw beans in there because beans can offer a lot of nutrients.
Protein. We do need that protein.
And And but I saw the trailer for I'm Alive, and that was crazy. It was like one of the first cinematic trailers that I had for it. And no, video games definitely are a form of expression.
Absolutely.
There's just a lot of things you can convey with video games.
Yeah, but speaking of the apocalypse and what exactly it would be like if we could survive it, there's this one poem I found called Disappointments of the Apocalypse, which I just love that title.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is by poet and memoirist Mary Carr. She was born in 1955, raised in Texas. She's the author of several critically acclaimed books. And I'd like to thank Poetry Foundation for having this resource and so many others. Really, you guys should check out that website.
Oh, yes, please, definitely. They're awesome.
And this is Disappointments of the Apocalypse. Once warring factions agreed upon the date and final form the apocalypse would take, and whether dogs and cats in certain trees deserve to sail, and if the dead would come or be left, a forwarding address. Then opposing soldiers met on ravaged plains to shake hands and postulate the exact shade of the astral self. Some said lavender, others gray, and physicists rocketed copies of the decree to paradise, in case God had anything to say. The silence that followed being taken for consent, and so citizens readied for celestial ascent. Those who hated the idea stayed indoors till the appointed day, with the moon clicked over the sun like a black lens over a white eye. They stepped out onto porches and balconies to see the human shapes twist and rise through violent sky, and hear trees uproot with a sound like enormous zippers unfastening. And when the last grass blades filled the air to press their bodies hard into dirt, hugging their own outlines, then the Creator peered down from his perch as the wind of departing souls tore the air of those remaining into wild coronas. And he mourned for them as a father for defiant children. And he knew that each small skull held, if not some vision of his garden, then its aroma of basil and tangerine washed over the rotting sea. They alone sensed what he'd wanted as he first stuck his shovel into clay and flung planets over his shoulder, or used his thumbnail to cut smiles and frowns on the blank first faces. Even as the saints arrived to line before his throne, singing, and a wisteria poked its lank blossoms through the cloud bank at his feet, he trained his gaze on the deflating globe where the last spread-eagled X's clung like insects, then vanished in puffs of luminous smoke, which traveled a long way to sting his nostrils, the journey lasting more than 10 lifetimes, a mauve vine, corkscrewed up from the deep oblivion, carrying the singed fume of things beautiful, noble, and wrong. Wow. Wow.
I don't know why, but this piece reminded me of Howl by Allen Ginsberg.
Oh, Howl.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, Howl is one of Allen Ginsberg's most famous poems. It's a very, very long piece.
Extremely long, but worth it.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a very, honestly, I could only put it into the category of epic poem.
Yes.
But this was also a long piece by Mary Carr. And I'm in love with the concept, man.
Me too, man.
It's like if literally the apocalypse was happening and God watched and was disappointed.
That is, wow.
It is.
I'm speechless. That's crazy.
And I like how
I gotta snap for that. I'm sorry.
keep snapping.
Wow.
And I like how she went with the angle of like not some natural disaster or aliens or some epic thing, literally like us.
Mm.
Humans brought the ends on ourselves. It's, oh my goodness. And the soldiers stood on opposing sides to shake hands and postulate, just line after line, the imagery.
Yeah.
And it really does make me think, like, with the crazy technology in terms of weapons
Yes.
that people have today, the end, man, it's just, it's delicate. It really...
Just throwing a quick plug in there
What's
because
up?
it relates. I forgot the names of these two gentlemen, but these scientists, but they moved the doomsday clock closer.
Oh, I heard about that.
I think it's now. I could be wrong, listeners. So I apologize, but I think it's like only 2 minutes before midnight. Because of that, because of the global warming, the state of how we're handling everything.
Yeah, like nuclear weapons, all that.
So yeah.
Oh, man. Well, don't mean to be a bummer guy.
No, but like, it starts with little changes
It does.
that we make to our daily lives, and in turn, it just adds, fuel to make a positive change.
Yeah.
I mean, sadly,
Sadly,
part of
yeah,
that poem that it's based off truth.
it is. And you know what's cool to me is how humans, we have the potential to make life last so much longer
Yeah.
and improve so many circumstances, but we also, in the other hand, we have the potential to end it all almost instantly.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yes.
to have that power, there are no words. It is ineffable.
I think the true battle is learning how to maintain your effect and impact on someone else. Because a lot of things, and we can go talk about memes or videos or viral, all that stuff, but it's a chain reaction. Someone starts something, gets a trend going, goes to another person, then goes to another person. Now with social media and all of this, you can make changes like that, and not all have been good, but
Yeah, unfortunately.
we have more power than we used to, and I think that is something that we just need to remember. Like, listen,
Yeah.
we have power. Each of us has our individual powers, but we're not strongest until we come together and work together,
Yeah.
not
man.
work individually.
Yeah. That's also a theme of post-apocalyptic scenarios. It's like unity becomes more important than ever. Doing that lone wolf, yeah, I'm going to survive on my own. Whatever, that stuff will not fly.
No.
You need help.
No. And you will not fly. You will fall. You will fall so fast.
And on that humorous note, I'd like to remind everybody, for those tuning in, or maybe you skipped ahead because you didn't like what we were talking about before.
Anyway, fast forward or
Whatever.
present moment, whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
you are listening to Unknown and Uncloned, which is part of the Undetermined podcast network. And you can find Unknown and Uncloned on the social media platforms of Instagram and Twitter at UAU Podcast. And you can find the grander brand, the Undetermined, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the UD Network. One word.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to discuss, Julian.
Yeah.
I found some amazing art here. I'm pretty sure I sent you a link, but there's this series of post-apocalyptic future art
Right.
by Brian Levinson.
Yes.
And
Looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
He's based in Portland. And for those of you who aren't seeing this yet, don't worry. We are going to send out links, and you're going to be able to see the beauty with us.
Yes. These are breathtaking.
it's a series of pictures in seemingly ordinary scenarios, in seemingly ordinary environments, abandoned farms, warehouses, forests, and cities, and there's no human life.
No,
It's
none.
just animals. Like the very first one. There's an alleyway with a deer who's just sort of
The antlers are on fire.
there's this deer who's just sort of chilling there, and there's rain coming down. There's rain on his or her antlers, and the deer is just simply gazing at the wall.
But it's not regular rain. It's fire rain.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, because if you look at the deer's antlers,
There are
they
sparks.
yes,
There are sparks coming down. I see.
but the deer's still just relaxing, chilling there because
Mhm.
this is now a state.
Yeah, this has become its new environment, and it has no choice but to simply wander, adjust,
Mm.
and carry on. There's even another picture with what looks like it may not necessarily be the it may not necessarily be the Brooklyn Bridge or any particular one, but there's a fox who's just on the prowl,
Mm-hmm.
continuing its life and crossing this bridge. I think this is a reflection of how humans have such a different nature from other animals.
Mm.
And I'll explain what I mean. It's like there are all these pictures of the animals wandering about in this environment, and you don't see any people.
Yeah.
Why? Because the humans have created their own destruction. And what's left is simply the earth. And there's a subtle piece about it,
Mm-hmm.
about these images.
Yeah, it's
You know, like there's another one. Oh wow. This whale, this humpback whale.
that's the one I was looking at.
He or she is swimming underwater next to remnants of like what looks like an entire city block that
Yes.
just fell, collapsed to the ground. Who knows what happened? Was it an earthquake, an explosion? I don't know.
Modern day Atlantis, man.
Yeah. And this whale is, of course, continuing its daily life in a peaceful environment now. I mean, as peaceful as it can be.
Right.
And in a way, it almost is more peaceful because
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but
No, you're right. I agree. I already know what you're about to say.
like there are no humans to come destroy or seize. These animals are simply existing as nature intended.
It's very. Yeah, I mean, we could also look at this as inspiration that if they can do it, why can't we do it? Why can't we just exist? Why do we have to control certain things?
I like that, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's true. Why do we have to be in such complete control of things like the weather, the water supply? Let's make do with what we have. Now, of
Yes.
course, maintaining the water supply is important. you
Yeah, an
know?
organization and order, you have to have that.
Yeah,
But-
yeah. But don't tamper with it
Yes.
to the point, there's problems that have risen in terms of oil spills.
Major
And-
problems. With
Yeah,
that. Goodness.
exactly. I mean,
Immense, even.
the Flint water crisis,
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible to say the least. But these animals, they're not out there building weapons or corrupting the environment. They're just living. And you know what? I don't want to sound like some dude who's against technology and people. Listen, I'm all for advancing technology.
Yeah. If it's for the right reasons.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying.
I don't want it to lead to our end. Which brings me to the next thing I want to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite book of all time. Yes, my favorite book fits into the category of apocalypse. Are you surprised? I hope not. This, which you've definitely heard of. A lot of you may have had to read it for high school. Fahrenheit 451
I was not one of those people, but I have heard of it.
by Ray Bradbury, who has by default become my favorite author because he wrote this amazing book.
Yeah.
But this, it's a book about books. So let me explain. Fahrenheit 451 is a reference to the temperature at which a book needs to be hot enough to catch flame. And that is important because it's about a post-apocalyptic society where books are illegal and people will find your books and burn them if you have them.
Wow.
That is what the firemen at the time are for. Like firemen becomes a profession where they come in, it's like, hey, do you have these? No, you can't. And they get rid of them.
That's frightening to me.
All people have, it's this like somewhat utopian society where people for pleasure, they've got other technology. There's radios, and they've got their vehicles to travel in and all these other things. People have parties and whatnot. And it's just like, it represents a future where people have turned away from intellectual pursuits. And it's just, I love that because it makes me embrace its realism. Because I feel as if we got to a point where we advanced so much, where there were no more struggles, where we had technology to fix everything, a lot of people might not feel the motivation to be game changers, to be evolutionary. If problems are solved, then where do problem solvers come in?
I think one of the things that connects to that too is when we make mistakes, honest mistakes, the beautiful thing about that is the innocence, is our innocence in making that mistake. If you don't make mistakes, where is the, that feeling of wanting to
learn, to evolve.
Exactly.
In a perfect society, it's just like you just kind of want to exist and do whatever.
I mean,
and
so
also
many possibilities.
Yeah, man.
I've thought.
And also with the information age, I think this is also reflective of that. If we come to a point where everything that we could possibly want to know is at our fingertips, people won't actively try and learn.
No.
I mean, some people always will, of course.
Yeah.
But it's like, no one's going to want to go find the good old-fashioned encyclopedia when you can just speak to your phone and have it tell you what that random plant is.
Oh my goodness.
Or why your shoelaces keep ripping, or whatever you want to know. I don't know.
Because think about it. Years ago, and we're still young, but years ago, people took the initiative upon themselves to be adventurers and find things. The more technology came into play, we became content and comfortable. Yeah. So could you imagine, like you said, if technology was to fix everything, we'd be
very
in
complacent.
our own, literally and physically quite in our own cocoon, not doing anything.
Wow. Yeah.
Because we'd have everything at our fingertips, so there's no need to explore. You have it all there right in front of you.
There'd be nothing left to discover.
No.
At that point, what are you gonna do?
The only thing that you could discover is a new sleeping pattern. I have no idea.
But guys, I really recommend you read it. It's a thrilling adventure. It poses questions that we all need to ask ourselves. It poses questions about society,
right?
About the government, and it's really the first book I ever read that inspired me to create a story of my own.
Awesome.
I saw this character on an adventure, and I'm like, I want to make that. I want to take somebody on a journey with me,
Yeah.
until the end of the world.
To the end of the world, yeah. Exactly.
And the other thing with the apocalypse, there's been another craze that is evolved where people are obsessed with preparing for it, you know? There's
I
been
thought you were gonna say zombies. I'm like, hey man, you wouldn't be wrong.
No, actually, quick mention. Some people may be wondering why we didn't talk about zombies at all. I'm saving that for another episode. The whole zombie episode, zombie apocalypse, that is too much fuel for to be discussed with this content. We would have a 3-hour episode.
Yeah.
But also that delves into other philosophical stuff that reflects, you know, how the average person has become in terms of intelligence and all that.
Right.
And anyway, I'm not going to delve into that. You're going to stay tuned for that one day.
Yeah. we'll keep you posted, but another day.
Yeah, but Doomsday Preppers, I believe, is a show on History or Discovery Channel. It's on one of those, maybe even ID channel, but it's about people who have gone to extreme lengths to prepare bunkers, resources. I'm talking like post-apocalyptic supplies of water.
Oh, that reminds
food.
me. Yes, my sister shared this video with me once about where they keep the seeds of the world. And they keep it in like this Arctic bunker shelter thing.
Whoa.
I'll have to share it with you later, but it was one of the most fascinating things ever. Like seeds from like, I think for growth, for growing like from every part of the world. They keep them in this place.
That's crazy.
And like only a couple people are allowed to go there. Because it's very confidential stuff. But like there's just that idea is like this is already happening.
Yeah.
We're already preparing for this.
I mean, the thing is, I feel as if some people really genuinely believe that the end is very, very close.
Yeah.
I mean, if you live in an area like Haiti, for example,
Right.
and that my parents are Haitian. I'm a first-generation immigrant. So they came straight from Haiti years and years ago.
Right.
And for somebody in Haiti, right now, it's like that is a post-apocalyptic world for them. Their world has ended. Between the earthquake and the other storm that recently hit, there are so many houses destroyed, lives that have been evaporated. And it becomes a moment where you ask yourself, where you are really forced to come to terms with your inner self and be like, okay, what am I doing? Where am I? What is this? How am I going to make use of the time that I have?
Yes.
The apocalypse. Do you have a bunker ready, Julie?
I do not.
Me neither.
I do not. Not even a mental one, but I'm trying. But yeah, man, I mean that also, that's why it's also important to really treasure having compassion for other people. I mean, in all different parts of the world, we're all going through something different, but we're also going through a lot of similar inner struggles, and you know, there's a lot of finding yourself that we have to do. And when something like that happens, you might be asking yourself questions, but from afar, you're not asking yourself the same questions. Definitely not.
You're right, man.
And, you know, just having that mutual human connection is what brings us together. So if, you know, for when the apocalypse comes, if we don't have each other, what else is there?
That's true. Like you can prepare all you want, but will you really have what matters? I mean, okay, there's obviously the essentials, you know.
Right.
Like you're told to have gotta get your water bottle, gotta get your radio with those emergency batteries.
Right.
You know, to see if you can communicate to any rescue vehicles. Gotta have your beans.
Yeah, the beans, man. The beans keep coming up, man.
All your non-perishables, you know, all the foods, cereals maybe, stuff that will last a long time. But will you have what you really need to be sane, like passion, a friend. Not even like a lover, something as simple as a friend.
I mean, it's deep, man.
The apocalypse. Are you ready? In a world.
We ask ourselves, are we ready for the apocalypse? Listen, is the apocalypse ready for us? All right? Because
the apocalypse is definitely ready for me. I'm not a very threatening human being. I took 2 years of karate. I dropped out. I mean,
listen, man. You can still hit that wind though. All right. Listen, the wind will be fierce. All right.
I mean, my survival skills. Okay, if I dropped you off in a forest right now, could you survive for 2 days, Julie? Could you survive? No, listeners.
Listen, I'm no Nathan Drake here. Listen, I would hope. I would climb a tree, stay up there for grab some berries, grab some apples,
Yeah, we want to hear your thoughts, listeners. If you were thrown into the nearest forest, unable to come back to town, could you survive for a day? I'm going to answer that for myself. Barely. I mean, I could just because... Could I? Yeah, I could. I would
Listen, man, this is not the time for second guessing. Listeners, leave your comments with us, please. Like, tweet to us at UAU Podcast on Twitter. Leave a comment on UAU Podcast on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Reach out to us on Facebook because we're very curious to know what your thoughts are on this matter.
Yeah. Post-apocalyptic scenarios. What would be 4 things that you keep with you when the apocalypse? You know what? That's going to be the question I end on.
Oh, you cryptic.
Yes. Yes. What are the 4 things you're going to bring with you to the apocalypse? Me? Extra cheddar goldfish. Need food. It's my favorite snack. Why not? 2, a very thick blanket. It's going to get cold at night.
What about your writing notepad?
I'm not done yet.
Okay. See, foreshadowing. I'm just kidding.
The 3rd thing I'm going to bring with me is a book, my favorite book of poetry, The Outlaw Bible of American Poetry.
Brilliant book.
And last, a writing pad.
I knew it.
A writing pad with more pages than I know what to do with. Because that's really one of the only things that does keep me sane and will continue to keep me sane.
Indeed.
What about you, Julian?
Oh boy. I was hoping you were gonna forget it, but no. For me, one would definitely be. You know what? One would be a music pad.
Okay.
Writing songs.
Oh.
Then my second would be a poetry pad for writing poetry and or short stories.
Okay, that's literature.
The 3rd thing, my guitar. And the 4th thing, because guitars don't have to be in that type of state, they don't have to be hooked up to anything, you just play it, So that'd be the 3rd thing, I think. And 4, oh boy.
Your hat.
Oh, listen. Probably, honestly, probably my hat.
I think I answered that question for him, guys.
Yeah, for the listeners, I have this. People like to call this signature look. With I have this fitted hat that I've had for literally might as well be a millennia. It's been years. Glasses and.
Yo, definitely bring your glasses. Oh, I should have said I'm gonna bring
don't
my
too
glasses.
late. You can't go back. No, once
can't.
you've decided, you cannot go back. Listen, you will write. You will write nearsighted. Okay.
I mean, I can do that, but the thing is, it's like I wear my glasses full time. I would have to.
Not after this, you wouldn't.
To read, I would literally, in order to read anything without my glasses, I have to hold it to my face. Literally, I would have to hold something. Almost as if I was putting on a mask.
Hey, listen. You would be closer to your writing, right?
I guess.
Because you would be closer to the book, so you therefore would be closer. Your pieces would just be more intimate.
They would. And on that
You
note,
could probably feel the breath of the pages, but I'm gonna stop before I go on a tangent.
the breath of the page. Oh, that's poetic. poetic
Thank
right
you.
there. Anyway,
all right, Chingy. All right.
on that note, everybody, stay ready for the apocalypse.
And stay ready for the next episode
Yes.
of Unknown and Uncloned, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. You can find UAU online on Twitter and Instagram at UAU Podcast. And you can find the grander brand, The Undetermined, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the UD Network.
All right. Thanks again, guys. I've been your host, Rich, here with my co-host,
Julian Wilson.
Keep exploring, guys.
Yes, and do not stay content. Just go for whatever you want.
Indeed. In a healthy way.
Yes, please. Please. And not with goldfish.
Yo, do not hate on my goldfish.
Yo, listen, I love goldfish too, man. But the pizza ones are my favorite ones. Anyways, bye, guys.
See ya.